Yeah, you don't need to bring the Jeep for me. I'm good. Yeah. It'd be a lot of work for you and me to do it.
Hey, Nat.
Good evening. I was just getting hair and makeup ready myself.
You look at that fancy background.
What do you think about it?
It looks good. You look like you're like a cutout in the center of it.
Perfect.
But you look good.
Thank you. Yeah, Steve in our office made it. Normally I just would show the messiness of my upstairs office. I don't mind it, but I've been encouraged to protect privacy. So whatever that means. I think it's like did you ever see the CNN clip where the kid runs in and the nanny's trying to pull him out of the...
Yeah.
We have a new lawyer for the city, and she has that saved as her virtual background. It says CNN across the top of her virtual background, and then there's the picture of the kid with the nanny like pulling him out of the office.
Oh, how funny. Huh. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm sure that's happened. That they were fortuitous with that ad. That's probably happened to more people this year than anyone could have ever expected.
I bet you could do America's Funniest Home Videos just on Zoom bloopers.
Totally. Hey, Britton.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you? That's a different view. You're sitting somewhere different.
Yes, so we have new policy about mask wearing, and I didn't want to wear my mask for this meeting, so I moved to an office.
Ah, okay.
Keeping everybody safe.
Smart. Yeah, because you're in a cubicle, so you'll have to have a mask on.
Yes, so here's my new brick wall.
Yeah, we've done that. I always feel bad when I come in my office in Cullen because all of our support staff, even though we put plexi up like in front of them, they all have to wear masks. And I'm like, ugh, all day with that? That's hard.
I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
I have so I have very fancy masks when I wear mine. So
yeah. Hi, Steve. How are you? So this should be pretty short tonight, it looks like, agenda-wise.
yes, I believe so.
Good. Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Nat, what happened with the turkey?
Hi guys, I'm here finally.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Did he smoke it okay, and so he can be part of the family, maybe?
Yeah, he came through with the turkey.
Good.
The Cajun one was good. I would say like the Italian one was all right. He didn't burn it.
Okay.
But yeah.
So he's okay. He can still date your sister?
Yeah, they just got back today from the British Virgin Islands, I believe.
Oh, good.
Living their best lives.
That's right. Hi, Terry. We can't hear you, Terry. You're muted. We can't hear you. She's not muted. Hi, Robert.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
How are you?
Hello.
Thank you.
My computer has relaunched 3 times and it's still not picking up my video, so I don't know what's going on. Can you see
We
me?
can hear you, Catherine.
Okay. Well, maybe it'll self-correct.
Okay.
Yeah, am I
There
audible?
you are. There you are.
Yay, you're good.
I had said they are living my best life too. I just didn't want you guys to miss out on that joke.
Oh, Catherine, you're visible now.
Okay. So I heard something about a turkey and that was the last. It kept stopping and restarting.
Oh,
Was that
Somebody-
Matt's turkey?
yeah, it came out all right. It wasn't, I didn't cook it, but a guest of ours made a good turkey at Thanksgiving, so they can come back again.
Yeah, well, I did the new and crazy thing. I had 2 couples outside 10 feet apart with all of us having our own tables.
Wow. Impressive.
Yes,
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
couldn't hear that.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Oh,
Personally, I think all of the jokes should be retold.
well, I tried to get in early to hear the jokes. What did I miss?
Nothing. I had just asked, Nat was talking about last time that he wasn't going to let his sister's boyfriend, who happens to be a friend of his, you can say if I'm saying this wrong, Nat, fry the turkey. They were very skeptical. And so I asked Nat if the turkey went okay and if he can still date his sister. And he said it went okay.
Yeah, I keep hearing about horrible deep fried turkey accidents on Thanksgiving.
Okay, so it looks like we have everybody tonight, it looks like, including Robert as our alternate. Is that, am I seeing that correctly? Okay. We need to wait on anybody else, Nat, or since we're a couple minutes early, or we're good to go?
Yeah, if you don't mind, we'll just wait till the clock rolls over at 6,
Okay.
just to,
be official.
Fried your turkey, did you say?
yeah, fried turkey. It was great.
You have a deep fryer or something?
A buddy of mine does. Yeah.
Do you stuff it or anything before you fry it, or you just?
Yeah, we injected it with seasoning under the skin, and it keeps it real moist.
Huh. I'm gonna have to try that sometime. I do most of the cooking at my house, but I'll give the fried turkey.
You know, from a preparation standpoint, it only takes about 3 minutes per pound, so it's a pretty quick process.
It's just my wife and I, so we could probably cook it in about 6 minutes.
Probably.
Well, the dog's here too, and the cat. That's right. You never know. I don't know. They're chasing each other.
Okay, I show 6 o'clock. Well, everybody who's not speaking, mute their phones, please, just so I don't have any background noise. Thank you. Okay. All right, good evening. The time is 6 p.m. and I would like to welcome everyone to our meeting of the City of Georgetown Historic and Architectural Review Commission. The Historic and Architectural Review Commission, appointed by the mayor and city council, is responsible for hearing and taking final action on applications for certificates of appropriateness based upon the city council adopted downtown and old town design guidelines and the Unified Development Code. This virtual meeting format is different from the regular meetings at City Hall, but we will still follow a similar meeting format. We will consider the cases scheduled for this meeting individually as follows. Staff will make a presentation of the case, and then I will give the commissioners an opportunity to ask questions to staff. After the staff presentation, the applicant or their representative will have up to 10 minutes to present or provide comments on their project if they choose, followed by questions from the commissioners. Once staff and the applicant have addressed questions from the commissioners, we will open the meeting for the public hearing. If you would like to provide comments on the agenda item, please wait until I open the public hearing. When I open the public hearing, I will ask if anyone would like to speak. And if you would please unmute yourself on your phone and state your name. Once we have the name of everyone who would like to speak, I will call the names in order. When your name is called, you will have up to 3 minutes. A speaker may allot their time to another speaker for a maximum of 6 minutes. If you wish to allot your time to another speaker, please indicate so when I open the public hearing. Please remember that all comments and questions must be addressed to the commission. And please be patient while we organize the speakers during the public hearing portion. You also have the opportunity to provide comments through the Q&A section of the live meeting located on the right-hand side of your screen. Please provide your full name and address for the record, and your comment will be read by staff. After everyone who has asked to speak has spoken, I will close the public hearing and provide a few minutes of rebuttal time to the applicant if they so choose. Following this set of questions, I will ask the commissioners for a motion and a second, followed by deliberation and any additional questions to staff or to the applicant. Then I will call for a vote on the motion. If the applicant or a member of the public has questions or concerns following a vote on an agenda item, Please communicate those to the recording secretary outside of this meeting so that staff can follow up with you. You can provide your contact information through the Q&A section and request follow-up. You can call the planning department at 512-930-3575, or you can email historic@georgetown.org. I would like to remind everyone to please state your name before you make any public comments. That includes staff, commissioners, applicants, and members of the public who speak during the public comment portion of the meeting. If you are a member of the public, please also provide your address. The first agenda item is item D, which is consideration and possible action to approve the minutes from the November 12th, 2020 regular meeting of the Historic and Architectural Review Commission. Commission, do I have any edits or comments to the minutes? Okay, not seeing any edits or comments, I will request a motion.
Madam Chairman, I move for approval.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnston. Do I have a second?
Morales will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Morales. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. I'll take a vote. Commissioner Parr, approve. Commissioner Morales,
Approve.
Commissioner Hyde,
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
Approve.
Commissioner Browner,
Yes.
Commissioner Nunn,
Approve.
and Commissioner Curry.
Approve.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries. All right, our second agenda item for tonight is item E. This is a public hearing and possible action on a request for a certificate of appropriateness for the addition of a porch, patio, or deck at a 5-foot 2-inch setback encroachment into the required 6-foot side north setback for Lot 3 to allow a patio and deck structure 0 feet 10 inches from the lot line at the property located at 409 East University Avenue, bearing the legal description of lots 3 and 4 and the south part of lot 2, block 25, Glasscock addition. Britton.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'm Britton Bostick, the Downtown and Historic Planner. And the item before you tonight, Commissioners, is the addition of a porch, patio, or deck, as well as a setback encroachment. This is the George Irvin house. I believe I'm saying that correctly when I say Irvin. So this is a house built in the late 1800s. It's been sitting on this corner and experienced a lot of change in Old Town, particularly along what we now call University Avenue, but it still retains a lot of its characteristics and stylistic quality. So there are some of what are called Italianate elements. That doesn't necessarily mean Italian styling. It's just kind of a style that developed in the US that had a lot of times some very regular and angular characteristics. And in Texas, we kind of have our own version of it. In Georgetown, we really have our own version of it. And so that's kind of some of the stylistic characteristics that have been identified for this house. This is located directly west of GISD's Hammerlin Center. It's also across the street from First United Methodist Church, just to get everybody oriented. This is a high priority structure, and it's surrounded by high and medium priority structures, although we do have some low priority structures nearby. And it's kind of across University and catty corner to the University Elm National Register Historic District. This is one of the earlier houses in Old Town that still retains a lot of its characteristics. And George Irvin was a Scottish immigrant who was really notable in Georgetown's history. We first see it on the 1900 Sanborn map because prior to that, our Sanborn maps didn't cover this area. So you can see the house already had what looks to be an addition today, but that addition was already there in 1900, so it's been there for quite some time. Looks like Mr. Irvin owned basically half of this block for quite some time. So we see that 1900 and 1905. We're not seeing changes to the house really 1910 and 1916. If the house begins to appear a little different, a lot of that is just stylistic differences in the drawing. And then we can see in 1916, Mr. Irvin had sold off the north part of his block and another house had been built by that time. And so in 1925 and 1940, we're also still seeing not a lot of change to this house, at least in terms of the footprint. And so there have been some architectural features that have been adjusted a little bit. There's kind of an upper floor balcony railing that's been adjusted a bit. But this house has really kept a lot of the same appearance for a long time. There's a detached garage that was added by 1964 that we can see in this aerial photo. And then in 1974, it's blurry. I apologize. Sometimes this photo works that well, sometimes not, but we can kind of clearly see the urban house as well as that detached garage that we can see there today. So these are Texas Historical Commission photos from 1987. They're black and white, but they do show us that the house has maintained a lot of its historic integrity over time, which is just a really wonderful thing to see. And we can see the current paint, which is kind of a nice way to highlight the architectural features with the screening. That kind of second floor balcony porch that you can see just there is something that was kind of changed out later, but a lot of those beautiful details are still evident. So what I want to get to is what the applicant's request is. This one is not something we haven't seen before, but a little different from what we sometimes see. If you look at the survey on the left, we're showing that this property is lot 4, lot 3, and just a little bit, about 10 feet of lot 2. There is an existing wood deck that is built with the house, connected to the house, and the house and the deck are on lot 3. Well, our code requires that structures, including kind of decks and patios and constructed things like that, they have to be a certain distance away from lot lines. And today, your lot line and your property line are probably the same thing. In Old Town, that's often not the case. In downtown, that's also sometimes and often not the case. And so the setback modification is not for this deck and patio to be encroaching into the adjacent owned property. It's just so that this property owner can finish out the deck and construct a patio this close to their own lot line. So it doesn't encroach any further. It's just kind of a technicality that needs to be addressed in order for them to successfully complete the permitting process. There's a sketch kind of giving an idea of where that patio cover would be. We can see the wood deck right there on the right. And I want to go ahead and mention to you, this is something that, this is a recorded Texas landmark property. And so the state requires that any historic recorded Texas landmarks, I think I said that backwards, but any of the state's landmarks have to go through a review process with the Texas Historical Commission for exterior modifications. The applicant has gone through that process. The Texas Historical Commission provided a letter saying that they met the state's requirements and that from the state standpoint, this project was able to be approved and move forward. So that letter should be included in your packet materials. This is essentially proposed to be constructed like a wood pergola on top of the existing deck with a little bit of addition to the deck to kind of square it up. The difference between a regular pergola and what the applicant is asking for is they would like to put a clear plastic covering on top of the pergola roof. So with the pergola, they're open to the air. Rain can fall through, leaves can fall through, things like that. A lot of times they're used to grow vegetation or vines. This plastic panel roofing would allow light to come through, but protect from rain and leaves and kind of other elements that the applicant would like to be able to kind of keep off of the deck space. And so that's why they're requesting this particular kind of structure. This is the current view from University Avenue. So this is the primary facade of the house. Even though the house is set really far back compared to a lot of houses, this is still kind of the front of it. And so this patio and deck would be visible from the side street, from Ash Street, but it wouldn't be visible from the primary facade of the house. This is the view from Ash Street. The property owner currently has kind of a partially screening privacy fence. So you would kind of be looking back through the trees and back kind of through the fence to see the structure. It would be visible from the street. Mostly you would get the view of the pergola and it would be a little bit difficult to see the clear plastic paneling, although it probably would have its edges a little bit visible. And depending on where you were on the street, it would probably be visible too. And so when staff reviewed the application, we found that it complied or partially complied with the applicable review requirements. Partially complies is because a setback modification is needed in order for the structure to be constructed. and the partially complies on item 4, compliance with the downtown and old town design guidelines, is because plastic is often not a material that we consider to be compatible. And so there aren't kind of great support generally for the use of plastic. However, in this particular situation, given how it was proposed to be used, staff found that it kind of sufficiently met the intent of the design guidelines. And because the applicant had been able to provide that letter from the Texas Historical Commission, it was found to comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards. One of the reasons for that is that this proposed structure would be separate from the historic structure and wouldn't cause any damage to that structure. And that's one of the reasons that the Texas Historical Commission kind of gave that nod of approval. For the setback criteria, staff found that mostly complied, or that some of the criteria were not applicable. On the partially complies, it is a matter of convenience in some regards, but the other side of that is the property line, that the ownership line and the lot line don't match up in this case. And so sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge for our Old Town property owners. And then here we have the rest of the criteria, and staff found that the criteria either didn't apply to this request or that the request complied for the setback approval criteria. And so 2 signs were posted on site, 33 letters were mailed to surrounding property owners, and staff had received 1 comment in favor by the time the agenda was posted. Staff has received no additional comments on this particular application, either in favor or opposed. And so because of all of this, staff is recommending approval of the request for the deck and patio additions and the setback modification. And so as you go to make your motion in your decision, commissioners, as always, you have the option to approve as presented by the applicant, the option to deny as presented by the applicant, the option to approve with conditions. And if you do have conditions for approval, staff would just ask you make that clear in the motion so we can capture that for the record. And if you do find a need to postpone your decision, staff would just ask what additional information we can provide you the next time you meet to consider. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions. I might note, I believe the applicant has also joined us in the meeting if the commission have questions for the applicant, but I don't believe they were intending to make a presentation separately.
Thank you, Britton. Do we have the applicant on the phone or on video, Nat?
We do not. I can promote the applicant for video. I'll do that now. If they want, they do also have the option to unmute. So now they're a panelist. If the applicant would like to turn their video on or make a comment through the audio.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for the presentation. I'm not sure we have any comments to add, Jeff. Oh, Ruth and Jeff Zane.
Thank you. How are y'all tonight? Welcome to the meeting. Is there anything y'all'd like to add?
Yeah, just I think the UDC looks like and the presentation was excellent, and we really appreciate that, and especially the time and the thought put into that. Those old pictures are great. I guess the garage, which was built in 1964, I think, and then I could be misapplying the UDC here to the extent it's applicable, but the Unified Development Code of Georgetown, I think 602004, indicates that if there is a pre-existing structure that basically goes across 2 lot lines, then you disregard the lot line for purpose of figuring out dimensions.
Okay, thank you. Britton, is there anything you'd like, do you want to clarify anything with that comment?
So the applicant does have a garage that's been around for a long time, and that does cross the lot lines. And so there's kind of a lot, we call them nonconformities. Our Old Town is full of them, and I love them very much. I have great affection for our historic nonconformities. In this instance, so staff couldn't find anything that would prevent the commissioners from approving the patio and the patio addition and kind of the deck extension as requested by the applicant when we kind of checked over the applicable UDC requirement. So as long as Harc finds that this sufficiently meets the approval criteria, you do have the ability to approve this.
Okay, thank you. If y'all just stay on the line, the commissioners may have some questions for you. Commissioners, what questions do we have for either staff or the applicant? Anyone? Oh, there's, okay. Anyone?
Yes, I just want a clarification from Brittany after what the applicant had just mentioned. Does the ownership line and the lot lines not matching, is that what's referred to under the partially complies under D2?
So I'm going back to the survey so that we can just kind of check back in. The survey shows where the lot lines are, and the survey shows where the building lines are. So we can see the main house sits within lot 3. The one-story garage crosses lot lines, and that sometimes happens in Old Town. And then the deck that they have is currently within lot 3 and is proposed to still stay within lot 3. So gonna go there. And then is this the slide that you wanted to talk about, Commissioner Browner, on criteria?
No, it was a section under the UDC, which partially complies under D2 under the criteria. The proposed setback encroachment is for the purpose of the deck improvements. However, the location of the lot lines relative to the existing historic structure and to the property line is related to development long prior to the establishment of the city's zoning requirements.
Correct. So,
and my question is that the point where the ownership line and the lot lines don't match?
That's correct. So if you bought a house that was very recently built, your lot line for the house, basically the document that creates your subdivision where your house gets built, the document that creates that lays out the lots, and they're all shapes. And so usually what you own is an exact match to the shape that gets laid out, that whoever the approving authority says, yes, you can do this. In Old Town, what we often find is that people bought and sold lots however they chose to. People built structures however they chose to, because when they were doing all of this, we did not have zoning requirements, and we did not have very many subdivision requirements or platting requirements. Today, we have a lot of rules that are not quite compatible with our existing conditions in our historic districts sometimes. And so in order for an applicant, a lot of times, and Harc has seen this in the last few months, at least once, in order for an applicant or a property owner to be able to successfully go through the approval process for their project, sometimes we need modifications to current zoning requirements to help the historic properties kind of fit our new rules. This is an example of that. If this were a modern lot or a current lot, it's much more likely that the ownership would match the lot lines. Okay. In this case, this property owner owns 10 feet of the lot to the north of them. That 10 feet acts as an effective setback. And so what they're asking for is to be allowed to get really close to the lot 2 and 3 line, because the lot, they can't cross the line with new construction. Like, new structures are not able to cross that lot line, but the amount of lot 3 that they own acts as the effective setback that we would basically ask them to apply today. So it's kind of a weird technicality. You don't see this in a lot of Georgetown. We do sometimes see it here. And with a property this old, when Mr. Irvin was constructing his house and owned half of the block, he put his house where he wanted to put his house, and he didn't have to worry about the lines. And today we have to worry about the lines. So one of the reasons that our Unified Development Code gives Harc the authority to modify setback encroachments is because sometimes we run into situations like this where there's a good reason for that request to be made. There's a good reason for that request to need to be accomplished for the project. It's just that it's a technicality that has to be addressed in our zoning code. And that's why y'all have the opportunity to consider these when you review projects.
Thank you very much, Brittany. That completely answered my question.
Well, good. That was a very long explanation. I hope so.
It was good.
And I have a question. Can you go back to the picture with of the deck where it has the yeah, there you go. So for me, obviously, because this is a high priority structure, you know, being able to, it appears to me that obviously the beams are coming, they're connecting to the house. Is that correct?
So I'm going to go one slide forward to the slide that's showing on the right. It's a kind of a three-dimensional drawing of a wood pergola structure over wood deck. And so what the first one that you saw on the last slide was a concept drawing that the applicant provided just to give a sense of the scale next to the house. The drawing that you see here is much more like what they're asking for. And so what they're proposing is they're proposing to square out their existing deck, which is a wood deck, and it sits, you know, a couple of feet up off the ground. And then they're proposing to construct, you can see these kind of vertical poles. They're proposing to construct that on top of the deck, but very, very close to, but not actually attached to their house. That way they don't have to disrupt the siding material on their house, and they still have the opportunity to have a covered deck. So from a Secretary of the Interior's standard standpoint, that's kind of ideal because it gives them the opportunity to remove it in the future without disrupting the historic material. But you can kind of see in this drawing, there's another set of columns that you don't see in that concept sketch that would be supporting the roof structure independent of the house.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. So because that's exactly my question, is that if someone in the future was to come along, this could be removed without disrupting the historic structure.
That's correct. That's and so when I discuss this with the applicant and kind of that technique of construction, this is what they would like to do. And this is also what the Texas Historical Commission had stated that was their preference, is the less we can touch the historic home, the better. And so the applicants kind of come up with a way to do that. And when staff evaluated kind of all the technical specifics, what they're proposing fit within our UDC requirements, provided that Harc approves the setback modification.
Okay, thank you. And I do appreciate that they've gone through obviously the process with THC and gotten their stamp of approval as well, but that's helpful to note that it's not actually attached to the house, because that would have been my only concern, and knowing that it's not, I have no personal concerns with this project. What other questions or comments do we have for staff or the applicant? Okay, not hearing any or seeing any. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to speak on behalf of this project?
We do not have anybody in the chat space. We do not have anybody who has raised their hand. And I don't believe anyone has contacted Mirna to sign up to speak. Okay, thank you, Nat. All right, not having anyone from the public signed up to speak on this project, I will close the public hearing. Okay, commissioners, this is your last opportunity to ask any questions or make any comment before we take a vote. Catherine, do you have something you'd like to say?
I'd make a motion to approve as presented 2020-31 COA.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Faustine Curry, second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve the application as written by Commissioner Morales and a second by Commissioner Curry. Let's take a vote. Commissioner Parr, approve. Commissioner Morales?
Approve.
Commissioner Hyde?
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston?
Approve.
Commissioner Browner?
Yes.
Commissioner Nunn?
Approve.
And Commissioner Curry?
Approve.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, our applicants. That motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate your time on this. And thanks again, Britton.
My
You're
pleasure.
so welcome. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. This is item F, which is updates from our staff.
So Britton again, the best I could do for a Christmas present for everybody this year was to report back to y'all on a salvage requirement that you had for a project earlier this year. I do have photos to share and a little bit of a story to tell about the results of that salvage requirement. And so something that staff have wanted to pay careful attention to is that the commissioners have expressed not only concern about whether salvage requirements are being met, but also a wish for those to be documented so that the commission can see that those requirements were being met. And so that's what I'm bringing to you this evening. So at 1002 East 14th Street, Harc approved both a demolition and infill earlier this year. And the salvage requirement is on the application 2020-18-COA. That was the demo. And so to recap and remind everybody, this was at the corner of Maple Street and East 14th Street, a couple of blocks behind the San Gabriel House bed and breakfast. This is the house that was on the property. There was some deterioration, decay, and damage to this house. The commissioners ultimately determined that it could be demolished due to lack of significance. But when the commissioners approved that demo, they conditioned it upon the wood floor being salvaged. And so we wanted to make sure we could follow up on that and kind of make sure that that was accomplished. And so the wood floors were salvaged prior to the demolition. The applicant provided staff with these photos. So this is where all of those boards were pulled up. Nails in them, finish still on them. Those were moved to a storage facility for a period of time. All of the nails were removed. The wood was refinished, and it ended up not being reinstalled as a floor, but as a ceiling. So this is the new residential structure at 1207 South Walnut Street. That's right behind the Gus's Drug Store off of University. And so this wood floor came back to Old Town as a ceiling in this new house. And so the wood floor that you see in these photos, this is a new wood floor. This is a different product. But the wood ceiling that you see is a portion of that wood floor repurposed. And so staff is tracking if that floor is able to be repurposed into additional structures in Old Town or elsewhere. But right now, this is part of that floor, and then the rest of the floor is still held in storage, waiting for a new home. So wanted y'all to have the opportunity to see what salvage results can look like. And as we have additional demo requests and Harc considers those, one of the things that we want to pay attention to and be aware of is being able to demonstrate to the commission that their requirements are being met.
Thank you, Britton. And that is super exciting. I think recently we've had, in the few demo requests that we've had, and I'm on the demo subcommittee, when we ask people to salvage things, I think sometimes we wonder, okay, well, what's happening? And I think, having this follow through process that's showing what's happening with this gives us even more reason to, continue to ask people to salvage things, when we're going to allow them to demo a property. So thanks for that. And I just want to clarify really quickly that this is actually item G. We skipped over item F. So that was item G, which is the presentation of the salvage and reuse materials. We're going to move back up to item F, which would be updates, which I think is also you, Britton.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, my alphabet sometimes a little bit backwards, so my apologies, and thank you, Chair, for reorganizing us. As you know, we are in the process of updating our design guidelines, and so we wanted to make sure that you all know that you are invited to participate next Wednesday, December 16th at 3 p.m. We are going to have a virtual open house. We're trying to stay safe right now, so we're still not meeting in person. I know we would all love to be back in person, and when we get that clear direction to meet again in person, we will certainly do that. In the meantime, we're going to hold a meeting. It's going to be on Zoom. It's also going to be broadcast on the City of Georgetown Facebook page as a Facebook Live event. And so if you see a kind of meeting event on the Georgetown Facebook page, you can click to get that on your calendar, or you can go to our webpage, historic.georgetown.org. That'll give you a button you can click to go to our project page. You'll be able to watch this video from there. You'll be able to get the Zoom meeting link if you want to join us. So our consultant, y'all met Post-Oak Preservation Solutions, and They are helping us with this update, which staff really appreciate, certainly, that they are going to do their first public presentation at this virtual open house on the 16th. They're going to lay out some information about the development patterns and styles in Old Town and downtown. I'm really excited about that. And then they're going to have a visual survey. So in the meeting, you'll be able to respond via a survey pretty quickly if you think something is, oh, that's a good fit, or, oh, no, that's not a good fit. And we're hoping that you guys will share that information. We're hoping that y'all will be able to participate. We'll be agendized for y'all's participation. So please don't feel concerned about all of Harc showing up. We'd love to have you there. We are going to record the meeting. And so that'll be available at historic.georgetown.org. And you'll still be able to take the survey for a couple of weeks after the meeting if you're not able to join us live. So know that you can share that. Know we would love to have as much participation as we can. I'm going to attempt to play a video and we'll see what happens, because this is a new stunt for me. I've never tried this before. So we'll see if I can put myself on your screens twice with this video.
There's no audio.
I still don't have audio. I still can't hear.
For new buildings, additions, changes to the exterior, and commercial signage, among other things. And that's specifically for our downtown and Old Town historic districts. You can find our current design guidelines at historic.georgetown.org. Why the update? The last update was in 2012, and it's time to have another look. The Georgetown City Council changed some of the certificate of appropriateness requirements in 2019, and we want the design guidelines to be consistent with those changes. We've also gotten great feedback from our applicants and the community, letting us know how much you value our historic district character, but that using simpler language and better illustrations in the document would be helpful. How can you be involved and informed? You can participate in the virtual open house on Wednesday, December 16th at 3 p.m. and give your feedback on what it looks like to protect Georgetown's historic character. The Zoom meeting link is available at historic.georgetown.org, and you can also check out the City of Georgetown Facebook page for the Facebook Live event. We'll show pictures of things like additions to historic buildings and business signs, and ask you to give your preferences via a survey. If you aren't able to join us for the live event, we will record the meeting, and you'll be able to watch it at historic.georgetown.org, and you'll also be able to take the survey for the week following. You can check the project page by going to historic.georgetown.org and clicking the blue button there at the top. You can view information, including upcoming meetings, as well as the current design guidelines on our website. If you need to get a hold of us, you can contact me, the Downtown and Historic Planner, by calling 512-930-3581 or emailing historic@georgetown.org. You can also call the Planning Department at 512-930-3575. Thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you on this process. Ta-da!
Good job.
So I have to tell y'all, Nat was the producer of that video, and he's the one, it wasn't that smooth when we filmed it. He's the one that kind of cut and pasted it all together and gave the background music and just did a really excellent job getting us on the internet. So huge thanks to Nat for making that look a lot more seamless than it was.
Looks great.
Yeah,
So-
really well done.
Thank you. So we're really hoping we can get as many people as possible to watch that video. We're hoping we can get as many people as possible to join us to give that feedback. And again, if you can't join us live, no worries. We're going to have it recorded. You can still watch later. You can share with all of your family, all of your friends. We're really wanting to know what Georgetown thinks. And so the last time we did a visual preference survey was back during the downtown parking garage. This is going to work a little bit differently because it's going to be great to have that presentation, have that information, and kind of get that guidance. But if you do need to take the survey independently, you'll be able to do that. And it's just a real quick, do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like this? And it's yes or no, very simple. So hopefully we'll get lots of great participation. After the survey closes, then we'll be able to share the results and have that collected. So what we anticipate is being able to come back to Harc over the next few months. We're not going to have a lot of active work on this until we get into March and April. We're expecting the consultant to have a document ready for us to look at for those first edits in April. But we want to make sure we're keeping y'all up to date as we go through this process. And if we have any kind of engagement to report or any kind of results to report, y'all are kind of our first point of contact for that. So any questions that I could answer, or anybody curious about anything? If you didn't hear it, it's historic.georgetown.org.
Wait, so where is the video going to be played?
The video it's running around Facebook right now. It's on YouTube. So the city has a YouTube channel, which is awesome. But if you go to historic.georgetown.org, at the top of kind of that main page, right under the blue button, Nat was able to post the video kind of embedded right there. So you can either click and watch it there, or you can open it up on YouTube and share it from YouTube if you want to. And there should be a couple. There's like a real short 25-second video of me without all the detail, just saying what we're up to. And then there's the 3-minute video that we just showed. And hopefully you see those on social media if you're on social media. And if you would share those around, that'd be really helpful.
Okay, thanks, Britton. That's great. I will try to be there on the 16th and hope others will join as well. Any other updates that we need to be aware of? Because I think this is our only meeting in December. Well, because I think the other meeting falls on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and I was planning on being here, but I don't know where all y'all are. So
no Christmas Eve meetings for Harc. Thank you so much, but no Christmas Eve meetings for Harc.
So anything that we have, anything else we need to be aware of?
Just to give you an update on the small area plans for the Track Ridge Grasshopper, which is that area to the west of City Hall, and then the San Jose neighborhood over there off of Maple Street. We conducted a call for proposals. We got 8 firms in. We're pretty pleased with. There are some local firms, there are some Texas firms, and there are some national firms. And we put together a panel of multiple city departments. Britton helped us review them, and we would like to move forward with interviewing. We will be moving forward with interviewing hopefully next week. We were supposed to go to council this week, but we chose to ask, well, we asked if we could come back in January instead with an actual recommendation of a consultant to select. So we will be going back January 12th with a budget recommendation to the city council. So stay tuned for that work. And we're pretty excited about the quality of the firms that propose for that. So we have some good interviews lined up next week. And then if you haven't heard, the city, just you all are ambassadors of the city in your roles, and important to know that on Tuesday night, the assistant director for finance, Nathan Parras, gave an update on the city's financial standings in light of COVID. And we are in a good position financially in terms of the outcomes of sales tax and property tax being more than, we've exceeded projections in terms of revenue when we started the budget year last year, not knowing about COVID. So if you are interested in getting more details, you can just go to the city's webpage, georgetown.org, and you can watch that city council presentation online. But we are very fortunate to be in the position we are with having exceeded revenue projections at the year end. And so we were very conservative in our budgeting, and so we're hoping to move forward on some additional initiatives that we push pause on based on the expected outcomes of COVID. So wanted to share that bit of news with y'all. Happy to answer any questions that you may have for me written.
I just had a question. I had sent Sophia a message a while back about the reinterpretation of the UDC. I think it's UDC that limits us to the alternates to only being engaged when there isn't a quorum versus when there's an open seat. And it sounded like she was going to be addressing that. And I just wondered if there was any update or something to ask her in January.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have, Britton, have you heard anything about, was she going to be checking with legal, Pam? Is that what she was saying she was going to be doing?
Yeah, I think, well, she had checked with legal, but I think she was looking at trying to propose a change to it was written, just because it's not as helpful as an alternate to watch and listen as it is to have the opportunity to participate. You know, if part of that is intended to be training. So, and more heads are better than one. So I just wanted to,
sure,
if there was any.
Did y'all have any discussion about the bylaws themselves for the commission?
No, not necessarily. It sounded like she was supportive of the idea of, you know, Robert and I not sitting all the time, like if there was a vacancy, and that she was going to take it forward, but
okay.
I just didn't know. So no worries. It's not
okay. I'll see if I can get you
We don't have an update for that. I know that there's not been like a clear decision made yet, and I apologize for that. I understand completely y'all wanting to know, but can Nat and I make that note and kind of check in on that and see if that's something we're able to get communicated by our meeting in January.
Yeah, it impacts P and Z as well. I think that's really where the driver was. So, but we'd been operating under one set of assumptions, and then it got switched based on a reinterpretation and legal because of something that came up with P and Z, and I think it warrants getting looked at. So,
thanks, Pam. One other thing that brings up, just as a reminder, I don't know who is up for reapplication. I don't know anything about that. I'm not privy to that, except for that I received my time to reapply for the board. And so if it is your time to reapply, I just encourage you to do so. I think that deadline seems like if it was a reapplication, my deadline was December 20th, but I don't know. I've remembered it was January if it was a new application. So I'm not sure, Britton or Nat, but just as a reminder to any of the current commissioners, and then also a reminder that we're always looking for new and talented people. So if you have friends, again, I'm not privy right now to how many openings we're going to have on Harc, but please encourage people to apply for boards and commissions because that's coming up right in January, I think, if it's a new application. Anyone else?
Needed to have friends to be bought on Harc.
I'm sorry.
If you have friends, encourage them. And my question was, you mean we have to have friends to participate on Harc?
Don't give me a hard time, you know what I mean. Anyone in the city, whether you know
like
them well or not, if they meet the criteria and have interest, please ask them to apply for something.
It sounds like Myrna is saying the deadline to apply is the 4th of January. So you have just after the Christmas break to apply. And I don't know if Myrna, if you're still here, do we know who's rolling off?
So if you're eligible for another term, then you would have gotten an email automatically from, I guess, the software we use. But the terms that are expiring February 28th of next year, those are the ones that would have gotten an email that you can apply again. It's open until the 4th, and if someone is already currently an active member, you will need to link you will need a link to access to your current application, but you should get that in your email. So you don't need to submit a brand new application, but everything should have been emailed to you.
Does that apply to Robert and me as well, because we're alternates? So I think just 1 year, we're not the 2-year term that I think, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think, and I can look it up and send you an email if you'd like to know when your term expires. I know some people expire this coming year, others in 2022. I would have to look and check who's is expiring next year, but yes, if it does expire on February 28th of 2021, then you will need to submit an application again, even for an alternate.
Myrna, can you send me an email? I have no idea.
Yes, I can do
haven't
that.
done anything by email, but it sounded like you said if you're eligible, you'll get an email.
Yes.
Terry, you and I were renewed for 2 years, I believe.
I knew you were going to remember that.
So I'm looking at, we also we also post the information publicly, and we have the board roster. So just kind of looking at what we have online, if you guys don't mind. Pam, it says that your role expires February 2021. The same for Kara Lee, and the same for Art and Amanda. So what I'm tracking, and we can confirm this through City Secretary, is that Amanda, Art, Kara Lee, and Pam all would need to reapply.
Yes, Nat, and I did receive an email from the city, and I've already filled it back out. It was very easy, easier than any other year. It all self-populated, and then you just had to answer a couple questions and upload your resume. So you should be receiving that.
Okay.
Do we have term limits?
So I'm just gonna look.
Yes, it's two-year terms.
No. I mean, I'm into my second 2-year term.
Yeah. It says, it does have a term limit of 2.
Okay.
And so, Pam, we can work together, but it sounds like you're on your second term as well.
Well, not as an alternate. I think it's different if you're an alternate.
Okay.
So because I'm not technically, I mean, I am and I'm not. I think that if you're appointed on the commission, you have a different set of rules than if you're an alternate like Robert and I are.
Okay.
Steve was last year. So I could be wrong, but I recall reading that.
Okay, we'll get her.
I can ask the City Secretary's office to clarify that and let you know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. That's why I brought this up, just because January 4th comes quickly after, and we're all holidaying and not thinking about reapplying. So please check your status and do what is best for you moving forward. But thanks very much. Nat, is there anything else that we need to do today?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, I wish you all a very, very happy holiday and a happy new year. Hopefully we'll be in a better place in 2021 at our next meeting. Hopefully things will be happy. So thank you all for your service this year. I know it's been an interesting year. I can't believe we've almost been doing this virtually for a year. That's crazy to think about. So thank you all and have a happy holiday.
Just a motion to close the meeting, if you don't mind.
Morales will make a motion to close the meeting, and happy holidays to everybody too.
Okay, we have a motion.
Browner will second it, and I would, with the second, would hope that everybody remains safe through the holidays.
Thank you, Art. So we have a motion to adjourn by Morales and a second by Browner. We'll take a vote. Commissioner Parr, approve. Commissioner Morales,
approve.
Commissioner Hyde,
approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
approve.
Commissioner Browner,
yes.
Commissioner Nunn,
approve,
and Commissioner Curry. Approve. Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.